Okay, today we're going to solve absolute value equations. Once we get our solutions, we're going to end up graphing those on a number line. So I do have the first example here on the paper, so if you guys could grab your composition book or your notebook, if you're keeping your notes in just a regular notebook, that's fine. But we're going to keep all our math notes in one location. So go ahead and get this copied down, and I'll begin to work through them with you. Okay, so we're going to solve this first example for x in the end. When it's absolute value, so that's what these are absolute value bars, you want to make sure that you get whatever's inside there alone before you make your next step. So what I'm going to do is isolate that by undoing this minus 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So bring this down, that equals 2. So now once you have the absolute value part isolated, you're going to set up two equations. I'm going to take x plus 1, and I'm going to set it equal to a positive 2, because I know the absolute value of positive 2 is going to be 2. And then I'm going to take x plus 1 and set it equal to a negative 2. Because I know if I had a negative 2 inside the bars, the absolute value of negative 2 is also 2. So then I solve each of these, just subtract 1 from both sides all the way across. You get x equals 1 and x equals negative 3. So those are our two solutions. So now I'm going to quickly plot those on a number line. So if I put my 0 here, then I can put negative 3. I'm just going to go back to negative 3 here and put a point, and then over to positive 1 and put a point. So those are my solutions. So you can always check those if you want to sub them back into the original equation to make sure that they work. That is something that you can do when you're finished. Okay, example 2. Put that one right here. Okay, same process as the first one, because I can see that I've got a plus 3 that's outside the bars. So I'm going to undo that by subtracting before I do anything else. There's your absolute value part. Okay, now when we get to this point, there's a problem because you can't have an absolute value set equal to a negative. Like, it's never going to evaluate to be a negative. So this problem is spoiled because you can't have a negative right there. So once you've isolated the absolute value, if you have a negative that remains on the right side, you cannot have a solution. So spoils your answer. Negative does. So there is no solution. But you gotta kind of be mindful when you're working through those and kind of look out for that negative. So it can be a negative to begin with, like it started out here, it was negative, but when we added the 4, it turned positive, so everything was good. This one, when we subtracted the 3, that's what spoiled it. Okay, let's keep moving. This will be example number 3. This one's a little bit busier. So I've got to undo a couple things here because I want to get the x minus 1 in the bars by itself. So I'm going to undo the 5 first. So add the 5 over. Since it's being subtracted, you want to do the inverse. Cancel. And then since this is being multiplied in front, you want to undo that with division. So I'm going to divide by 2. So these cancel. You only divide the 2 by 2. You don't really go inside the bars and do anything. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, now I'm ready to set my 2 equations up like I did above. So it's going to be x minus 1 equals a positive 3, because I know absolute value of positive 3 is 3, and I can do x minus 1 is negative 3, because I know absolute value of negative 3 is also 3. Solve those, so I'm just going to add 1 all the way across. And then I'm going to plot those on a number line. Those are my 2 solutions. So I'm just going to move right over here. So I'll put my 0, if I fill that in right here, I should be good to go. And then I will plot my 4 and my negative 2. Okay, now we're going to move on to the final example, which is a word problem, and I've already got it written out. So if you guys could copy that down quickly, I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay, so we are going to set up an equation similar to the ones above with absolute value. And I think this procedure just involves these 2 numbers. So it's not too tricky. You just got to remember which one goes where. So my equation, I'm going to use T for my variable for temperature. So T, I'm going to do minus, and then I'm going to put the target temperature inside, and I'm going to set it equal to the temperature that it can vary up to by 4.5 degrees. So it looks like that. Now that one's already isolated. There's nothing outside the bars on the left side. So I'm just going to set up my 2 equations. So T minus 82 equals 4.5, and T minus 82 equals negative 4.5. And then add 82 all the way across. This is going to be 86.5. I'll go ahead and put my degrees Fahrenheit. And this one's going to be 77.5. So basically that means that your temperature has to fall between 77.5 and 86.5. So if you guys want to write that out like so, that would give you your range. All right, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.